Sweaty palms, constant fatigue, and brain fog. Those are just few of many of the symptoms of stress and anxiety. In today's fast-paced world where constant pressure to perform and busy schedules have kind of like become the norm, I mean, no wonder more people are reaching out to psychologists and stress coaches for advice. The real problem, however, is that everyone gives solutions, but almost no one is actually teaching this one thing that really changes everything. These different people, they all tell you to start meditating or download some weird app where you can like track some stats or your sleep or who gives a dunk your face in ice like that random viral black dude. While these things can work, again, they're very surface level. It's kind of like trying to write a book, but you don't know how to spell. I mean, it just won't work, honestly. So what is this secret that I'm hyping up? Maybe some of you have already guessed it. It is breathing. Now, I know you might be thinking, bro, I know how to breathe. Like, who is this guy? Who is this random stranger that can't even grow a real beard? But I'm telling you, this is honestly, I promise you, this is a game changer. As long as you hear me out for a minute.
I'm listening.
Humans can live without food for about 3 weeks, without water for about 3 days, but without breathing for about 3 minutes, and then it's game over. The point I'm trying to make is that breathing is the most essential thing in order to survive, yet almost no one teaches us how to properly breathe. I mean, I'm a big advocate that we should definitely teach this to our kids in school. It should be part of the curriculum because it is so essential, and just knowing the basics will, again, change your life. We've all heard the saying, take a deep breath, right? And what do you do when you take a deep breath? This is what your normal deep breath looks like. Breathing through your mouth into your chest, very big inhalation, and very quickly out. Let me ask you another question. How do humans breathe when they hyperventilate? They breathe exactly the same way. They breathe quickly, they breathe into the chest, and they breathe out fast again. So how come when we're stressed and we hyperventilate, how come taking a deep breath is basically doing the exact same thing, just in excess, just doing it even more? Why do people think that this is the way to properly calm yourself down? The truth is that 99.9999% of people, they overbreathe. They simply just breathe too much. They take in too much oxygen and they can't really use it. Although it sounds about right, if you want to breathe more, you take in more oxygen. That's actually not how it works. Let me explain to you why. It's not too complicated, but let me just put on my glasses because here comes the science. All right. When we inhale, we breathe in oxygen, right? O2. When we exhale, we breathe out CO2, so carbon dioxide. Most people think that carbon dioxide is just a waste product, but the reality is that humans actually need a certain level of CO2 in their blood, in their body, in order to be able to use this oxygen. So when you breathe in, the oxygen goes into the red blood cells that are like flowing through your body, right? But in order for the oxygen to go from the blood cells and into your actual muscles and brain, you need that level of CO2. Otherwise, the oxygen stays locked inside of the red blood cells. So when we overbreathe, every second of every minute of every hour, all day, every day, what actually ends up happening is that we take in a lot of oxygen because we breathe, but then when we exhale all the CO2 out. We end up having an excess of oxygen because we keep breathing in fast and shallow, and we keep exhaling the carbon dioxide. So we reduce the level of CO2 while we increase the level of oxygen. The problem is we can't use the oxygen because we have such low levels of CO2. Too much oxygen, exhaling all the CO2. Essentially, our bodies get flooded with oxygen and we end up in fight or flight mode as well, which is where stress is induced. And this is only like a mode for like fending off bears or fleeing for a life or something like that. Now, what happens when you overbreathe and you have such low levels of CO2? The fact is you get hypersensitive to CO2. So whenever you have a slight buildup of CO2, when you hold your breath, your body starts to panic. It's not used to having that CO2 in the body, so you begin to exhale quickly. And when you exhale, you need to take in another breath, and another breath, and another breath. Basically, it's a constant loop that just keeps on going and going and going, and it just keeps keeping you in the state of stress and anxiety. By the way, this is coming from someone who always had sweaty palms, always was in fight or flight mode, and within a couple of weeks of actually learning this stuff, it just changed everything. So I'm hoping it will do the same for you. I'm actually fairly certain it will, as long as you're willing to put in a little work for it. These are symptoms for someone who overbreathes a lot. You're constantly sighing throughout the day. You're coughing. You're yawning a lot. You're waking up tired. You have a shortness of breath throughout the day. You're obviously very anxious, very nervous, very stressed most of the time, if not all the time. And you just feel a general feeling of fatigue. Obviously, when you're in fight or flight mode the whole day, you become very exhausted. How do we know if this is affecting us? How do we know if we are breathing correctly, if we are hypersensitive to CO2? There's a simple test called BOLT test, short for body oxygen level test. It takes 1 minute. All you need is a timer. It could be a phone, it could be, everyone uses their phone. So I want you to do this with me really quickly. I'm gonna explain to you how to do it, and I'm gonna film myself doing it as well so you can see how cool I look when I do it. Bring out your phone. If you're watching the video on a phone, get something else to time it with. I don't know, a stopwatch if you're weird and have something like that laying around. What you do is relax your body. You sit up straight or you stand, I don't care. Take a small breath in through the nose and then you breathe out. Once you exhale all your oxygen, you pinch your nose, and the moment you pinch your nose, this is when you start the timer. So it goes, and the key here, and this is very important, the first signal, the first feeling you get of wanting to breathe, so that could be in form of like a stomach cramp or your neck maybe cramps a little bit, sends a signal to your brain that it wants to breathe. That's when you stop the timer. So this is your BOLT score. It can range from everything between under 10 seconds to up to 40 seconds. Most people are below 25. When I took this test the first time, I was at like 26, and I'm in pretty good shape, I'd say. I run a lot, I do a lot of sports, and it was also an eye-opener for me because I thought it wasn't good. Like, I thought I knew how to breathe, but there was such a long way to reach the top. Here's a quick chart to show the ranges. Feel free to pause the video. It's pretty simple. Let's just say the higher the BOLT score you have, the calmer and the more energized you'll feel. Before we get to the exercise that will actually help you improve your BOLT score, I want to take a short moment to talk about nose breathing versus mouth breathing. Most of us, especially when we are stressed, breathe through the mouth. I didn't even notice this before I actually started studying this stuff. Look around you. Many people walk around with their mouth open, and especially when they run, they're gasping for air like this. Running and trying to breathe, trying to get more oxygen, but they just don't know that it doesn't actually work that way. Also, many people sleep with their mouth open. It's not a conscious decision. I'm a big advocate again for mouth taping. So it will feel weird the first 3 days or something, and then you'll get used to it, and then after some months, your body will naturally sleep with your mouth closed. And again, then you'll reap the benefits for those 8 hours you sleep as well, because 8 hours is a long time. Every day, it will quickly become a long time. Nose breathing is also the way forward. It's not just for relaxation, it's also for better oxygen intake. There are many reasons why nose breathing is better, also better athletic performance and stuff like that. But when you really think about it, have you ever seen an animal that, except the dog, have you ever seen an animal that breathes through its mouth? If you have, please write it in the comments. Again, it just shows that naturally speaking, also with humans as well, naturally we're supposed to breathe through the nose. It's a big factor in how your facial structure and especially your jaw develops. When your face is developing, your face will be hanging like this all the time, and your jaw will be relaxed, and you'll get a long and shallow face or narrow face. Also, your chin will be tucked in more. When you try to push your chin back like this, I'll look stupid, but whatever, like this, you can feel how it's actually pushing on your airways. The tighter your airways are, the harder it is to breathe. So if you've been a constant mouth breather throughout your whole childhood and into adulthood, you will probably have this feeling, and you'll never actually be able to change it unless you do some surgery and stuff. But fingers crossed you didn't fully mouth breathe your whole life. Also, many mouth breathers don't actually have room for their teeth, and then you have to go to the dentist and they have to pluck out your teeth and everything like that. You don't want that, and it gives you big cheekbones to breathe through the the mouth, all these things that essentially are considered beautiful as well in society. Try to take a breath through the mouth. When you do that, your chest puffs up, your shoulders go higher, and it's just a shallow breath. But when you breathe through the nose, and you know how to breathe properly, you will use your stomach way more. Try to take a deep breath actually. When you just relax your whole body, and then when you breathe, feel it into your stomach and not your chest. Try to make sure your shoulders don't rise and your chest doesn't puff up. Then you'll know you've taken your first deep breath, and have to do that from now on until you die. The big takeaway from breathing through your nose is that it actually activates the parasympathetic nervous system. Let me be sure I said that right. Parasympathetic nervous system, exactly. This nervous system is responsible for relaxation, rest and digest mode. So this is what you need to be doing if you want to not be stressed anymore and not have this feeling of constant anxiety. There are 3 levels to breathing actually. The first level, which is the worst of course, is that when you breathe, a person sitting next to you can hear you breathe. This means you breathe very loudly and you breathe way too strongly. I mean, we've all met a person like that. The next level, second level, is that you breathe to the point where a person sitting next to you can't hear you and you also yourself can't hear you breathe. This is kind of where I am right now. The third level, which is crazy, but this is the level that you can eventually achieve, is that you can't even feel yourself breathing. The key is that you want to breathe as lightly as possible. Breathe super lightly. You won't even, your stomach will barely even move, because you don't actually need to take such big breaths, because you use all of the oxygen in the actual breath as efficiently as possible. So you don't need to breathe so much anymore. Obviously, it's only people with a bolt score near 40 that are able to reach level 3. When you have a bolt score near 40, you actually take approximately between 6 to 8 breaths a minute. And you have about a breath pause of 5 seconds between each breath. So that would be like... which sounds crazy, and some people are breathing like this, but again, it's very rare. I promise you, these people are very relaxed all the time, when they have to be, of course. The average breather, they breathe approximately 12 to 20 times, so more than double the amount of that of a high bolt score breather. And they have no pause between their breaths, so it's very rapid, very quickly. Sounds familiar? Hope it's not from you. Iced tea break. I don't actually smoke, so... This is a weird experiment, including a lighter and myself in a dark room. But I'll let you take over, Magnus. Imagine this is your body. Let's say I do this. Let's say I turn this on. Look at this fool, he can't even light a lighter. If I blow on it steadily, it doesn't go out, but if I breathe fast on it, it goes out. Kind of like your body actually, take a look. Breathing steadily. Who is this guy? But whenever you breathe fast, it just goes out instantly. Obviously. Bringing us to the next point, it's actually something kind of cool. I mean, the art of breathing lightly has been known to humans for thousands and thousands of years. But back in 1968, something kind of peculiar happened at the Olympics in New Mexico. Because this Olympics was held 2,500, so what is that, like 8,000 feet above sea level. What was cool is that when all these athletes, inevitably when they went back to their home grounds and started training again, a lot of those people, they started to beat their own high scores or best times or whatever, their own records. It started to beg the question how that may be. People discovered that it was because of the elevation that they had been in when they were at the Olympics. So high altitudes. The higher you go, the less oxygen there is in the air. So when you go high and you start training, what your body starts to do is actually adapt to that environment, because you don't have so much oxygen available. So your body forces itself to use the limited amount of oxygen up there as efficiently as possible. So that's why when they came back to their normal training grounds again, their body suddenly had adapted and knew how to use the oxygen better, so they could run faster without feeling shortness of breath, and they could just beat their high scores because that wasn't the limiting factor anymore. What's really cool about this is we can actually reap the benefits, mimic this effect without even having to travel to such tall elevations, which here where I live in Denmark would also be like a really big issue, because we have like our highest point is 170 meters, like 550 feet above sea level. That would be a bummer. The way we do this, and this is the exercise where you really need to pay attention, because it doesn't take too long. It might be a bit uncomfortable at first, because you have to get used to the feeling of having CO2 in your body, of course, but it gets easier and easier, I promise, and you will start feeling a big difference. People say that whenever your bolt score improves by about 5 seconds, you feel a big change in like your daily life and how your body reacts. So let's say you did the bolt score before and you had like 15. When you've done this new exercise for some time and it's suddenly 20, it can go very quickly actually. You will suddenly start to feel much better and different. And then when you get to 25, 30, 35, 40, I mean, benefit on benefit on benefit. This exercise is called Breathe Light to Breathe Right. So we're gonna practice breathing lightly. Just a heads up, if you have like diabetes or have high blood pressure or pregnant, if you just ate also, I would advise not to do this. Wait at least 2 hours after eating, but again, do it in the morning or in the afternoon and then you'll be fine. I'll take you through this step by step, so listen up. So what you do is you, again, sit or stand tall. You straighten the spine and imagine a string pulling from like the back of your head, meaning you have to stand upright or sit upright. Try to create great distance between like your navel and your sternum. Then you're gonna take one hand, doesn't matter which one, and you're gonna place it on the chest and then one on the belly, and then you exert gentle pressure, so you just push down ever so slightly. Now you start breathing through the nose using the diaphragm. If you're not used to it, it will take a bit for you to get used to, so just close your eyes, take in those breaths. Try again to relax your shoulders. When you breathe through your diaphragm, like into your stomach, your hand on your stomach will be moving outward when you take in a breath. Kind of like a balloon actually. When it puffs up, it also gets bigger, right? So imagine your stomach is a balloon, and then when you breathe out, it shrinks or whatever, deflate. Stomach goes in. It's just a balloon, guys. Don't worry. And the hand on your chest should actually not be moving. This is how you know you're taking proper breaths. Once you got that down, what you need to do is you need to slowly begin to reduce the amount of air you take in from each inhale. So you breathe more and more lightly, slowly and controlled. And on each inhale, you will start to take in less and less air. You will have to take in less air than you actually feel like. So let's say you just breathe out and you want to breathe in. Let's say you breathe to about 70%. So you always feel that, and this is key, you have to always feel the need, slight hunger for air. This is how you know that you're making progress, because you're building up CO2 in the body and you're getting your body used to having this CO2 in the bloodstream. When you exhale, don't force it. Try to relax, because your diaphragm, when it relaxes, it automatically pushes out the air. You exhale by default, basically. Again, you want to feel a slight hunger for air the whole time, and this is the CO2 building up in your body. We're practicing to get familiar with this feeling and getting more comfortable with it. You have to do this for 2 sets of 5 minutes or like 10 minutes in a row if you feel comfortable enough having that feeling of air hunger for those whole 10 minutes. Now you do this twice a day. Do it when you wake up and you do it before you go to bed. This is what will increase your bolt score. When I started doing this after just like a few days, I felt different. It felt like my body was trying to get rid of the build-up oxygen throughout the last many years. Kind of felt like that I could never properly exhale, as if my body wanted to get rid of the oxygen, which was kind of a strange feeling, because it's the opposite of what you normally feel, but also kind of nice in some sense. Again, this feeling does go away after time, and as you start to increase your bolt score and become more comfortable with the CO2 build-up in your bloodstream. Okay, so let's recap. First, you have to find your bolt score. Secondly, you have to start nose breathing. Do not mouth breathe, only nose breathe. Also during training. If you are training and you can't nose breathe, that means you're training too hard. So drop down in intensity. For example, when running. Unless it's like sports and you're really trying to win, it's very competitive and it's on the edge of it's most intense it possibly can be, then it's okay to breathe through the mouth, but only then. Thirdly, it's key and it's important to note that you have to breathe less, not more. Breathe less. Fourth, you have to practice the breathe light to breathe right. Twice a day. This is all you need to increase your bolt score, and it will change your life. Also, a bonus. When you walk around, and if you're one of those people who actually sigh throughout the day, which I was too actually, I just never really thought about it. Instead of sighing, try to swallow the sigh. So you feel the need to sigh, just swallow it. If you do sigh, hold your breath for 10 seconds to kind of compensate for the excess oxygen you just took in. Also, when you're yawning throughout the day, instead of yawning like this, just yawn without doing the inhale. You'll be much better off. These are just habits that are keeping you oversaturated with oxygen, basically. Bad habits. It's also funny when people, they start increasing their bolt score and breathe properly. They feel a much less need for hunger, like actual food, and they maybe feel more thirsty. And they also feel less need to eat processed food. So it's way more lifestyle changing. It's a sustainable way to lose weight, and it's free as well. So it's none of that keto diet and veggie diet and I don't know, those diets. So throughout your day, whenever you feel stressed or anxious, your palms are sweating and you feel foggy in your mind, try to pause for a brief moment. Notice your breath. Think about your breathing. How are you breathing right now? You're probably hyperventilating slightly. So take control of your breath. Switch to nose breathing and breathe into your stomach, and you'll feel an almost instant relief and feeling of relaxation throughout the body. And it's about going throughout the day and noticing your breath here and there. Maybe 5 times, maybe 10 times throughout the day. And then you'll get used to it, and then you'll start doing it by habit, and then you will feel way more relaxed. Once you got all this down, you can start doing more exercises like breath holds and stuff like that, but that's for another video. And then you can also do those cold plunges and all those things. But again, this is the basics. These are the essentials. You have to know and learn and stick to it. This is a lifestyle change, not a chore. You have to do this, keep doing it, and once you start reaping the benefits, I doubt you'll start going back to mouth breathing or sighing or yawning and all these bad habits. So give it a try, guys. You might just find that what you initially thought was stress and anxiety was just one breath away from feeling better. Let me know in the comments your bolt score. I'd love to hear, and also stick to it for 1 week, for 2 weeks at least. Come back to the video and tell everybody about your story so you can be an example. You can show people that this actually works, because believe me, it does. You just have to try it out. Have an open mind. I promise you, it will change everything. Anyway, take care, guys. I hope it was helpful. Peace. Also, guys, just before I leave, if you have a friend who walks around breathing through their mouth looking like a fish, share this video with them. That would be a good present for trust. Take care now.